Each morning, real setups are broken down with entry strategies and technical reasoning behind every trade. This is today's best trade setups with Verified Investing.
Memory stocks are surging with SanDisk beating earnings by a huge margin. I think they were up like 65%, or they beat earnings by 65%. Absolutely astounding. Where you have other stocks like Microsoft and Oracle just cannot catch a bid. Welcome, everybody. My name is Benjamin Poole, head trader here at Verified Investing, and I have some levels for you guys today. We're going to take a look at our Oracle, Microsoft, silver from yesterday, STX, and a few other charts. Let's go ahead and jump into it. You know I like to start with my old trusty Oracle. This thing gives you super good levels. They respect the support and resistance levels, which is one of the reasons I love to trade this stock. Here's the stock of Oracle. Yesterday, I gave you a level of $163.08. It was this prior pivot in the charts. It did get through it a little bit. My ads on Oracle are usually about every $1.50 to $2 lower. You would have gotten filled again and then taken a nice profit. Now, if it gets back into $163.08 on the downside, that is an aggressive level. This pivot high is still holding. And so as long as it stays above that, you should get a pretty significant bounce. Now, that's for aggressive traders. For you who are less aggressive, I'm looking at this $155.97. This is going to be a key gap in the charts that technically needs to be filled. And once it does, you should have some significant buying pressure. If it does close below that, you have a little bit of a lower pivot at 154.32, but then you have a secondary pivot in the charts, or a gap in the charts, excuse me, $150.45. I would be adding every $1.50 if we can get filled at this first gap fill, knowing I've got a ton of support just below it. Meta, I gave you my level at $751.67. It got close to that level, but did not actually get up there. I still like this as an aggressive level today, $751.67. IBM was another one that just continued to roll over as the market opened. So this $340 level is off of the table. For aggressive traders, now that you had this sell-off, $325.07 is going to be that first resistance. However, I'm still wanting an upside target of about $340.17 for a day trade. MU continues to surge in the pre-market. It got to my $452.27 level after the market closed. And look at this. You got this nice pullback. You actually had a couple of different pullbacks. It got as high as $457.42 in the pre-market. So for me, I would be putting my order, and I'm going to be looking at $460 on the chart of MU, adding every $3.50 to $4 higher on MU, knowing that these memory stocks, look at this, they can make these huge swings. So it got down to $417, and then all of a sudden it got as high as $444 at one time. So these things have some wild swings, which is why I'm giving it a little bit more grace, not shorting it at $457.42. $460 is my shortable level on Micron. Now, SanDisk, again, beat earnings. It went from about $508 to up to almost $675 in after hours trading and in the pre-market. This thing just continues to ride to the upside. So here are my levels on SanDisk. So again, $674.10 is the pre-market high for SanDisk. I had the RSI on my radar. Look at how overly extended this is. And sometimes stocks can stay overextended for as long as they want. This could just mean that there's additional buying pressure. For me, for a day trade, I would be waiting for a $475 pierce. I know that usually I don't put them as close to all-time highs. However, this is a super extended move on SanDisk, knowing that I've got $700 whole round number psychological level as additional resistance. So I would be adding every $5 higher on SanDisk, knowing that it could blow through 575 or 675 and head all the way up to 700 and even get up to as high as 710. For me, $710 would be my max upside, and I would start with about a 1/10 of my portfolio and dollar cost averaging all the way up, knowing that this thing can move. And not only can it move to the upside, but every once in a while you get these huge, massive sell-offs. So that would be why I would be taking advantage of that potential move to the downside. This is a day trade, by the way. NXT, I was targeting this $130 level yesterday. I still like this. If it gets up above $130, knowing that I've got this big wick on the top end of this as additional resistance at $131.59. Again, above 130 would be a good entry on NXT. All right, let's go ahead and go into STX. I said as soon as the market opened, this is going to be a really good buy level. I was actually anticipating it getting back down to about $425. And then I said my level would have been $470. It never got up to that or down to 425, but it did get a nice sell-off as the market opened. And then you got a nice bid to the upside. Still reeling from its earnings reports. And then SanDisk had positive earnings, which is why it's pushing up a little bit today in the pre-market. For me, my shortable level is 575.82, knowing that this thing can really rip to the upside. And my max upside today is about $495 on STX. Another stock I was watching is Microsoft. Microsoft had earnings as well. And this thing just keeps getting beaten up. You have this low pivot in the charts where a wide range red bar candle hit yesterday and actually got filled. One of our day traders ended up taking a small loss on that. However, this level is such key support that I have it on my radar for today. The beautiful thing about a low pivot point or a gap in the charts like this, if it closes below this level on a 15-minute closing basis, we can always stop out and look for additional support levels. So here's my level on Microsoft, $425.64. It's just above this gap in the charts. The gap's a little bit lower. As you can see, it had a nice buy at the end of the day. So if it drops back into 425.64, this is still a good key technical support level. Again, 15-minute closing basis. If it drops below that, you have this previous red bar candle right here at $417. And then look at all of this price consolidation. I love this. This was a prior gap in the charts right here at $406, knowing that $406.15 for me would be the max downside based on this previous price action in the charts. PANW is another stock that's continuing to get pounded. What I'm seeing is we're actually starting to be more of a downtrend. You got this pivot high here and a lower high and a lower high here. So this actually favors more downside. For me, I'm picking this up on a day trade at $168.17, knowing that I've got this low pivot right here at $165.21 if it continues to drop. A couple days ago, I did have Reddit on my radar as well, and it keeps getting beaten up as well. So I've got some key long levels for you on Reddit, and then I'm going to go into silver. I would mention $120 was going to be where we shorted, and I'm going to show you what I'm seeing now as far as a potential long. First thing, PANW Reddit. Reddit is on the charts or on my radar. You've got this gap in the charts. This is for aggressive traders. $183.48 is going to be a gap in the charts, but notice how price action just keeps inching closer and closer to it. And so the surge to the downside from the closing price, this is only about a 3% drop on Reddit. So you're going to have a little bit of support, but if you start closing below that, it could get down to $178.24. Have this wide range red bar candle low pivot, which could act as additional support. And you've also got this wide range green bar candle low right here that kind of correlates with this low pivot. As you can see, once price action gets into these key levels, you should get a solid bounce based on a technical basis. Then below that, you have $173.56. This was additional support if it continues to drop. This is my long level, $173.56. If it does close below that, on a 15-minute closing basis, I would stop out of this trade, knowing that there isn't a ton of room below it. Your next gap in the charts is going to be right here at about $160. This is additionally where I'd pick it up. If I did stop out, I would be looking to pick this up with a much larger position based on this chart. Okay, silver. Last but not least, I'd mentioned $120 is where we'd short this. Yesterday, it did pierce $120, got up to about $121, and look at this red bar candle. This was This was coming. We still had this wide range red bar candle. This was a topping tail. This signals to all the sellers there that this is time for the market to reverse, and that's what happened. If we get a continued drop, I have this upsloping trend line on the chart of silver, connects this pivot low from the 21st of November 2025, secondary pivot low right here from $74 from the 8th of January 2026. If we can get here, look at all of this base right before this continued move to the upside. If price action does get here at $91.13 on silver, this is going to be a really key solid buy level for a long play on SLV. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me this morning at 8:45. Every single morning the market is open. I really appreciate you guys. I love how you guys comment on my videos. It really allows me to get an insight into what you guys are thinking. So thank you so much. And thanks again for sharing with your friends so that way they can get the same market information that you are, so that way they're not left in the dust or holding the bag. Gareth Holloway is going to be going live in less than 4 minutes, talking about how this economy could be continuing this reversal, even though the memory stocks are surging to the upside. You guys do not want to miss that. Stay tuned, and we'll see you guys next time in the charts. Have a great rest of your day.